Think about it. Every hiring decision is a choice that can make or break a team, a culture, and even an entire company. So how do we make the right choice? Hi, I'm Dr. Mickey, and welcome to Inside the Mind of Hiring. Here we'll uncover the psychology and strategy behind effective hiring. Because the right fit isn't just about skill or experience. It's about understanding people, their motivations, their strengths, and the shadows of their shortcomings. Together, we'll tackle the tough questions. How do we look beyond bias? How do we find the qualities that make people not just qualified hires, but the right hires? This is about identifying leaders who drive success, lift morale, and actualize a company's vision. Inside the Mind of Hiring starts now.
Hey, I'm so excited. Dr. Mickey, are we excited about this today?
Well, I am, if you're willing to, stand up to my questions.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. Okay. Just don't ask me for my grandma's special eggplant parm recipe.
No, that has very little to do with that, Dr. Pat.
But we're going to talk about when thinking skills really matter. And I think that this is an important topic because we're even joking now in television and movie about AI, right?
Yeah.
AI taking the place of chefs. That's how the like AI is going to come in and cook. Like what?
They're going to do everything. There's an AI executive that's afraid it's going to eliminate 50% of the jobs.
Mm.
And it's a little bit scary out there, but I'm going to keep trucking along with the combination of good thinking and intuition and see where it takes me.
Let's do it. Come on. I'm ready.
Yeah. So if I may begin for you and everybody that's listening, several episodes back, I introduced a company that I'm doing some work for the last couple years. They manufacture and sell themselves and through distributors synchronized clocks that are used by customers that have certain facilities where they need accurate time across the facility, like hospitals, airports, and schools. And one of the things that I do for them is help them identify sales engineers. And one of the critical hurdles once you're hired by them is to get through a very rigorous 2-week training program. And because product application is important to them in terms of lending credibility in the sales process, because when customers ask sales engineers questions, they want quick and definitive answers and well-reasoned answers. And it's obviously pretty important. And I have heard where certain candidates haven't made it even through the training process, let alone having a chance to sell for them. You can't make it through training. They won't let you on the field, so to speak. So anyway, so I have an IQ test that I give candidates. No matter any manager, executive, professional candidate gets this IQ test, and it has 3 parts. I'll get into that in a second. So for this client, the first 2 shots that I had about a year ago was assessing 2 candidates for this sales engineer role. And they were both very bright. One had an IQ of 130, which is around the 99th percentile for the general population. The other candidate had similar intellectual prowess. But the first candidate had a really good sales personality. The second candidate didn't really have the right personality or style for outside sales. Just put it simply.
Mm-hmm.
So the first candidate they hired, and he's done great. He's really done well. The second sailed through the training process, really did well. The second candidate sailed through the training process as well, but in the field, didn't do very well at the sales process, and didn't make it more than 6 to 9 months. Okay. So, getting back to the client, interestingly, uses their own aptitude. Well, they purchase it, but it's an aptitude test that they use: verbal reasoning, mechanical aptitude, math ability, and there's three separate parts of it that I just described. And it's delivered online. It's multiple choice. Some people call that multiple guess.
Yes.
And and I actually took it, and I don't do well on the mechanical reasoning stuff, but I took it, and I really felt that it had, good content and face validity. And it probably told them a lot about whether a candidate could make it through training. So, I was thinking that my IQ test, which is practical or tactical reasoning, conceptual or strategic reasoning, and think on your feet math, you have to do it in your head, would enable me to help the client predict whether the candidate could actually, the process of orchestrating the sales cycle from inception to close. Okay. So my standard wasn't 130, because those folks were, really on the upper end. So from what my experiences with sales engineers, is that something like 116 is the low end of things for them, the low standard for them, or the minimal standard. And 116 is the 86th percentile for the general population. So, I thought that was pretty sound. And I was kind of thinking that, their tests kind of emphasize getting through training. My assessment emphasizes getting through the sales cycle once you're finished with training. It's just because it's a lot more complex orchestrating a sales cycle. So my test is practical thinking. I just think I said that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just said that. I deliver these questions orally. There's no multiple choice.
Oh, wow.
The candidate answers in the same way orally. In the practical and conceptual reasoning test, I can coach the candidate. I can prompt them to get the most out of them, encourage them, tell me more, explain further. What do you mean by that? Give me another reason, if you can. So that's how I can, maximize the candidate's score. And the candidate's answer either gets a 0, either gets 1 point, which is partial credit,
Okay.
or 2 points. Okay. So I add up those scores. I get a standard score for each category of assessment, and then that leads to a total IQ. The standard score, you can kind of estimate the IQ within each area, within each subtest. So there were two recent candidates that I assessed. And by the way, there's a myth out there that the current generation doesn't sit well for long interviews and time tests.
Really? Is that true?
I don't believe it is.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
I believe if you balk at that, they're probably not good hires anyway. So, it's important to go through whatever rigorous process the company sets up for you.
Yeah, that's so counterintuitive, Dr. Mickey, because, we are now in education for just let me give you 30 seconds of this, because I just talked to somebody about this. The people that are coming out of high schools, colleges, especially colleges, right? Not even masters, just college. These people had to get accustomed to taking ridiculously long tests. Do you know how long a GRE exam is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I agree with you.
SATs and GRE.
Yeah, I agree with you. If anything, they are well prepared.
Yeah.
We can talk about the whole rest of the people on another show.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't take a lifetime to test people, but 3 or 4 hours of assessment is really not too much to ask for and most of the candidates that I've met are going through it willingly. They're not, but they do opt out. When they opt out, it's probably best for the client to let them opt out. That's, you do it or you don't do it, but there could be something missing in their it could be diligence or whatever, but there could be some key issues missing if they refuse to take the test or they opt out. So, I just wanted to bring that up as a side. But recently we had a couple more candidates, and they scored 118. They both scored 118 IQs, which is the 88th percentile for the general population, which is not too shabby. And they both passed every aspect, all three aspects of the client's aptitude assessment. The online multiple choice test of product, what I consider product aptitude. And but interestingly enough, and it was an unpleasant surprise, neither one of them made it through the training process. There's a proficiency test at the end. They both failed that, and they were out of the company in 2.5 weeks. So,
Wow.
I don't tout that kind of, accept that kind of predictability. Two candidates at the same time, and I got egg on my face, believe me. So, one of the key things I've learned over the years is you got to acknowledge your mistakes and make adjustments. And so I'm thinking, what the hell am I going to do here? But before I give you the answer, what I'd like you to do, Pat, is
Sure.
take 3 of these subtests that I give and just kind of go with it.
Let's do it.
Great. So I'm going to tee each section up, ask you some sample questions. You didn't rehearse this.
No, I don't even know what you're going to ask me.
Yeah, I didn't send these questions in advance. So let's do it. Okay, so Dr. Pat, I enjoyed our interview. Now I'm going to give you like a standard problem solving assessment. And there's 3 tests, and the first one is practical common sense reasoning. And I'm going to present topics to you that you don't think about every day, but you'll know enough about them that I'm sure you'll give me some solid answers for each question. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you. I'm not going to give you the answers. I'm going to sort of coach you when I need
Okay.
to.
All right, Jessica, if you're listening, you can text me the answers. So just saying. No. Go ahead.
So I'm going to say, tell me more, give me another reason, all that kind of stuff to help you out. So the first question is, tell me some reasons why many foods need to be cooked.
One, they taste better. 2,
Okay.
some foods can cause problems in your intestines. And number 3, you can actually die from foods that may contain a parasite or otherwise.
Okay, great. Let's move on.
Oh, did I get that right?
I can't tell you that,
Oh, okay.
but let's move on. That was good. Now, why should people pay taxes?
That's a great question.
Especially when you don't like to pay them.
I think taxes were the idea, let's call them the idea of taxes. The idea of taxes were to create a baseline, to have a stable and ongoing economic flow to the government for what they know and what they don't know. And it's like anything. How do you run a government, a state, a city in the world of unpredictability without having a plan B? And I think at one point in time, originally, that's what they were. Now, where are we today? We got a little bit off today because taxes, how should I say it? Originally were so that we could get a benefit out of them. What am I talking about? Some people have children, and paying for schools is great for them. Other people are like, why am I paying taxes for their school? So the idea of taxes was to provide a fair and equitable distribution of services that would help the public in the United States of America not live below the poverty line.
Great.
So-
Let's move on.
Yes.
Now, generally speaking, why does land in this city cost more than land in the country?
Well, because there's actually more of it in the country. It's supply and demand.
Great. Okay, now I'm going to give you another line of questions, okay? Uh, now, it's still you're expressing language just like you did on the first test, but it's a little bit set up a little differently. So what I'm going to do is give you 2 words at a time, and I'd like you to tell me how they're alike in a key, fundamental, or important way. Okay? And I'm going to give you one sample to kind of get you on the right track.
Okay.
Okay?
Let's do this.
In what way are a piano and drum alike?
They're music.
Tell me a little more.
They're music. A drum and a piano, and a drum more than a piano, has ancient vibrations and melodies and has been used for many, many things.
Right.
Both of them generate a magnetic field of vibration. Some think drums are much more important than piano. But most of the time, the drum is filling in, the piano is taking and stealing the show. But they're both musical instruments.
Thank you. In what way that's you're on the right track. In what way are work and play alike?
No way. No.
Think about it.
No, I'm only kidding.
Think about it.
Look, in the world, well, here's the answer. You get a feeling from play, and you should be able to get the same feeling from work. That's ultimately the goal, is to feel a level of meaning and fulfillment.
Great. Thanks. Let's move on. In what way are praise and punishment alike? They're both what?
Well, they're both judgments.
Okay. Tell me a little more if you can.
Well, they're both judgments. They're, some external way to tell another person whether they're doing okay or they're not. Now, if you turn that into feedback, right, they can become a benchmark, a baseline for helping people to grow. But punishment isn't, when you say punishment, unless you've committed a crime and you're really sentenced to go to jail, humans punishing other human beings do not have the same impact. So they actually don't have much of a meaning in life, except they're abusive. Outside of a system where punishment rules. Really, you go to court, you create a crime, DUI, there you go.
Okay. Now, that's fine. Now I'm going to ask you some questions that get you to think in basic mathematical terms. Okay. You can use a paper, pencil, or calculator, Dr. Pat.
Yeah.
But you can shadow write on your desk or your table with your finger to help you figure out the answers.
Okay.
So let's just try a couple of these. Okay. Now, chewing gum, the first question is, got to listen to get them right. Chewing gum costs 25 cents per pack. How much will it cost to buy 6 packs?
Is that like a trick question? Like if it's 25 cents per pack and you want to buy 6, it's 6 times 25.
Right. So what's the answer?
So the answer is going to be $1.50.
Thank you. Now I'm going to ask you a couple more. The price of shirts is 2 for $31. What's the price? What's the price of a dozen shirts?
Well, that would be 6 times 31.
Good. What's the answer?
You actually want me to do the math on this?
Yeah, if you can.
It's going to be 186.
Great. Okay, and here's another question.
I don't even know if that's right. I did that in my head.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Oh.
You did fine.
Okay. I don't get this shadow writing on the desk thing. That's an interesting concept.
Well, some people need that to figure things in their head.
Okay, notice I always look up. Okay.
That's fine.
All right,
that's fine.
cool.
Whatever way you want to do it.
All right.
A coat that normally sells for $60 is reduced by 15% during a sale.
Yeah. So that's 15%.
Yeah, is reduced by 15% during a sale. What is the price of the coat during the sale?
Tax or no tax included?
Just what the question says. You crazy person.
So 15 is 2 times 15 is 30, right? That times 2 is 60. Yeah.
Right.
But still 15%, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so you can't do it in quadrants. So in order for me to do that, I really have to do some math because 15 is the equivalent of what, 1/6,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
And so I would have to take off 1/6 from that, and my head just exploded.
Okay. Okay. I'll give you another chance at this. The coat normally sells for $60.
You said that.
It's reduced by 15% during a sale. What's the price of the coat during the sale?
Okay, so if it's reduced by 15, then that means it's 85% of that. So it's 85% times 60.
Okay.
Okay, you want me to do that math right now? I could do it.
Okay.
It's like my brain hurts.
Okay. No, I understand. I understand.
Okay.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. So that's a sample of the questions that I ask in each one of the categories that I assess people.
Mhm.
Now, what did I decide to do? What did I realize? Remember, the first two candidates that I tested sailed through training and they had 130 IQs. Remember that? So I'm thinking, I got to raise the standard because their test isn't really predicting it.
Wow.
And my standard isn't really enough to predict it. So there's two things I'm looking for. One is an IQ, a total IQ of 125%,
Okay.
which is at the 90th percentile for the total population.
Mhm.
Got to stick to that standard with reasonable equivalence across all three thinking categories: pragmatic, conceptual or strategic, and mathematical. Okay. Also, something that I need to say, I expect candidates to give definitive answers without much prompting or coaching from me. Maybe a little prompt, one here, one there for each question, but nothing extensive, or I'm really pushing the candidate.
Yeah.
They got to come up with the answers in a confident, quick, and definitive way.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the question you asked me about the $60 coat, where the answer really has nothing to do with 15% because you didn't ask me that. You asked me what's the cost of the coat, right? Which is 85%, right? That's what I'm going to pay for the coat.
Or you take 15% off of 60.
You could, but then that's like two equations. You got to do two different math equations for that.
Well, one's easier than the other. The latter's more easy. 10% is 6.
It is 6, right?
Yeah.
And then so
5% is
6
half
and
of it.
3. Yeah,
Yeah,
6
9.
and 3, which
Take
is
it off
9.
of 60, you would have had the answer.
Exactly. You got 51.
Right. Thank you. And it's usually the women get that a lot more than the men do, a lot quicker.
I did, but I didn't.
Women get that a lot quicker
I
than
misunderstood. I thought you wanted the process for it, but the answer is 9. I mean, it's an easy calculation, but you can take it in two different ways.
Right, but I can only score what you give me, right?
Yeah. So remember, I do a lot of shopping, and so I'm always
That's
looking
what
at
I'm
that.
saying.
Yeah.
People that shop,
Yeah, it's
usually,
like,
get that.
yeah, you get 15% off the sale price, but then in-store sale, if you have a special coupon, could be another 5%. So we're always thinking like that, aren't we?
Right, right. Okay. Be that as it may, I wanted our listeners to get a sense of what it's like to be tested. Now, the content validity is pretty interesting because the training process is delivered by a VP who's pretty tough.
Wow.
He expects a lot quickly, and expects his trainees or the new employees for sales engineer to give him quick and definitive answers. And if they don't, he gets on them about that. And I can't really do much about that. In some ways, I respect that because he's creating his own criteria for people that that's important in terms of the way they behave with customers. So I respect what he's doing, even though he's tough. So I have to deal with that. I have to test people based on that kind of criterion. And the proficiency test is not multiple choice. You have to give the answer. Okay. So it makes it a little bit more challenging, right? Okay. So the test that I use is open-ended, just like the proficiency test. I have a chance to observe how the person takes it, how they deal with the challenge. So if they deal with it definitively and confidently, I'm more comfortable with their ability to get through training, right? And if their score, their actual ability meets that 125, 90% standard, I'm more comfortable with their ability in this particular context. In this, not because there's no, I even said to the client, interestingly, on one of these candidates, if not both, got to be patient with these people. They might take a little longer to learn. Okay. You can't rough them up during the process. That's what I kind of did say that because both of them needed a fair amount of coaching and prompting from me to get that 118 IQ. I really had to work with them. I had to push them to get that out of them. And I'm allowed to do that. But in the context of the criteria for this job, they needed more. They needed more. And that's what I discovered. So if this client sticks with me, but I think they will, I'm pretty confident that my new criterion is going to work more consistently across the board. Yeah. But I want listeners to know that psychologists make mistakes. They misassume things. Mm-hmm. They sometimes don't have a standard that they really need to have. And the idea is to learn from that and not rigidly stick with, your original assumptions and your original standards.
I have a question for you, and I know we only have 30 seconds left, but here's the question for you, because you know this about the boss. Is that something that you disclose as a precursor to somebody walking through this? Because I think it's important for people to know that this is the boss they're going to be working for. Right. Do you disclose that, or where does that show up in an interview? Okay.
I do. But I asked them what their perception of this guy is, because he's involved in interviewing them.
Yeah.
And I asked him what their perception is and how to manage that. And then to a person, they always say he's to the point, he's direct. He expects you to be to the point and direct. He probably doesn't kowtow to wishy-washy answers or anything like that. And they're right. So I give them a chance to demonstrate that. And I have to really look at that. Are they demonstrating that or not when I put them under a similar situation? I'm not training them, I'm assessing them. But there's enough aspects to that kind of environment that I'm providing that I can observe how definitive and comfortable they are with these intellectual questions that they get. So it's not just their score, it's how they get there. That's really important to me. But you're right. I believe in giving people a heads up on what they're getting into without being negative about it. Yeah.
I found that great to do. I think, Dr. Mickey, thank you so much for demonstrating this, because I think one demonstration like this is worth its weight in gold for people that need to prepare for a very competitive fields in employment now.
Right.
Just understanding that that's what you may go through. Nobody tells you this. This is the stuff your mama never taught you.
No, mama never taught you this.
No. But thank you, though, for today.
You got it. So anyway.
Dr. Mickey, give out your website so folks know how they can get a hold of you.
www.deltaconsultants.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Dr. Mickey Fineberg, Fineberg. And if you have the guts enough to email me, it's Mickey, Mickey, at deltaconsultants.com.
Awesome. Dr. Mickey, everybody, I'm Dr. Pat. We'll see you next time.
You have been listening to Inside the Mind of Hiring with me, Dr. Mickey Fineberg. The first and third Tuesday at 11 on Transformation Talk Radio to discover the psychology of making successful hiring decisions. In each episode, hiring managers and HR pros will learn how to leverage assessments and other key screening sources and avoid common pitfalls. Job seekers will gain insight into successfully presenting themselves. For more information on assessing people for mission-critical jobs and on career assessment and coaching, visit deltaconsultants.com and my LinkedIn profile. If you'd like to write me personally, it's Mickey, Mickey, @deltaconsultants.com.